And welcome to our daily market review and analysis. We are ready to make a start, so let's get going. We will cover a mixture of currency pairs today. We won't spend a great deal of time on any one of them other than the one that are currently of interest to us. So in order to cover the material that we need to in the scheduled time. So a quick look at the equity index. The equity index still grinding up. And in terms of this last wave here, starting from here, is what I've indicated in the green as possible minor 1, minor 2 and minor 3, and then it looks like we went into some kind of a, initially I was assuming that this was probably the completion of the wave 4 and that we were then heading for wave 5. And it looks like so far we've just gone into some kind of a complex sideways correction. So what it might be, we would probably think that this here up to here is still wave 4, I think, and then subsequently if this is the 5th wave, then what we've got is wave 4 finishing here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the minor one, 4, and then we're going into wave 5, which will probably complete somewhere over here. And in the process of doing that, we might actually develop what looks like possibly like a rising wedge. So that means that this cycle we were looking for hasn't actually completed just here. So we were expecting it to complete there. I don't think it has completed there. I think we'll be looking for basically a further price moving upward. So we may well probably, I mean at the moment now we are at 14,580, so it's nearly 16,000. So I think over the course of next few weeks we might probably continue grinding up, and we may well go for, you know, something in the region of let me just show you here. See this particular price projection that we've got here, this one we've got here is actually price projection from this level. So this first leg up, projecting it from the second leg, so we go 100% over here. This is nearly 200%, so I think we are close to that. So we may well probably go to about 14,006, 14,007 before we see potentially this one completing that. So let me just put. So this I think is a minor wave 4, and then we're progressing into wave 5, and in that particular wave 5 what we got here is this first leg up, and then maybe some kind of a correction and we're starting off. So I think we are not getting a great deal of direction on the equity market because of this sideways range, but I think we may well continue grinding higher. We might get some kind of a rising wedge here. So equity will continue to go up. Once we have that completed, then that wave 3 will be finished, and we will look for a correction of wave 4. Okay, so we'll leave that there, but bias is basically to the upside. And then we look at the oil. Now the oil for the last few days, we were saying that if we break above this declining red line, then basically we have two possibilities we've been trying to consider. One is that a drop from here, which was back in 2011, drop from here is a wave A, wave B, okay, that's a wave B, and then we got wave C, D and E. So that's one possibility. And if that is correct, then that means that this congestion actually ended here. So then we are in a new 5-wave move to the upside as being 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're now progressing into 5, and even within the 5th wave we've probably got 1, 2 and 3. So maybe these waves I've got here will need to change them, okay, but we need a convincing break to do that. The alternative is that this is a larger degree wave 1, or rather a wave A, wave B, wave C, and this one is D and this one is E, in which case we may still be looking for going up. Or if this is D, this might be A, B and a C to form one wave E down here. So whether we've got a wave ending here or whether we've got wave ending there, we will have to wait until we get some confirmation. But at the moment it looks like we are going above this red line, and we do have a reasonable, I mean it's not satisfactory, but we do have almost like first day just close on the line, and now we are about to go over the top. So if the equity is grinding up higher, then I think we may well have to consider this one changing to possibly something like minor degree wave 1, this one changing to minor degree wave 2, and we are now in an uptrend, and this one will form wave 3 somewhere over here, okay. So we want confirmation of that, and if the equity market continue higher, then I think this is likely to continue higher also, and then we will have to start probably from here, because this might be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are now going into the 5th wave, and by the time we finish up these 5 waves, we should see on RSI potential still divergence between this high and the high we will get ultimately for this last leg up. So it may be that the congestion is over and the oil is probably going to be breaking out. So following that along, and the equity market is also looking very, very strong, we would suspect that the dollar index and equity market will get back into their normal relationship. So far we've noted that since we've been going up, you know, quite a while from here, in fact even from beginning of February, which is almost back from over here, beginning of February from over here, sorry, that was over here, we've been going up together with the equity index. So at the moment the dollar index is still moving up also, so we've got no disagreement, they're both moving up together, and I suspect that will probably continue until we come to a level where you know, we might get dollar index topping out. So let's look at the dollar index. This is the dollar index, and we were expecting a top in the dollar index with this wave 3, retracement wave 4, and we are now forming a wave 5. The question remains on a wave 5 is, are we going to get, for example, like a triangle rising wedge, or are we going to get complete 5 wave? And really we don't have any indication at the moment. At the moment this rising wedge doesn't look too good, because it's not exactly a rising wedge, as you can see. It's more, I mean, there is a slight there is a slight contraction. In other words, if I was to put this parallel line over here, you can see there is a slight contraction, but it's not brilliant. So in this process, what we got, if we do have this playing out, then we've got wave 1 up, wave 2 down, but then if this is wave 3, this wave 4 is too far down. So I am uncertain about exactly what this wave is turning out. The alternative would be is this one, where we have a very unusual, like a megaphone pattern, expanding pattern. So we've got wave 1 up, wave 2, this is wave 3, this one is 4, and if we are going up into the 5, then what might happen is the wave 3 cannot be shorter. So the wave 3 is that length. Make that one different color, so it's slightly different length. Okay, is that length. So what we need now is for that to be plotted on there, so you can see where that one is coming. If we are getting a megaphone pattern, then this leg cannot go much higher than 8330 to 8340. Well, really speaking, based on this one, it cannot go much higher than 8335. 8335. Okay, so that is where we would expect a top. So this megaphone pattern probably, if we have this unusual megaphone pattern playing out, then we would end that wave there, and that's where the dollar index would top. So in other words, it's in its final leg up. Okay, so we'll have to monitor this. I have been expecting from 8330 to 8350 area as a potential ending of this particular cycle of 5 wave up, which started off from here. So if that was the case, then it is possible for this to top out tomorrow, I think, because we've already started up leg. So maybe tomorrow. And then generally my observation has been on many occasions that either a Friday or a Monday often forms high or a low of the week. So for this particular week, if we top out tomorrow, then that would mean for dollar index that would be the high of the week. And for many of the other US dollar pairs, particularly like euro, we might find we will have a bottom in the bottom of the week tomorrow. So we'll have to monitor that. As far as the RSI and everything else is concerned, we are all within the correct configuration. So we've got this wave 3 momentum diverging with the wave 5, and even within this last cycle, if we now do a new high at 183.35, then this leg will fail to keep up, and therefore we will have another minor divergence on that also. So I would be looking for potential top tomorrow, but we need a confirmation of that. Also, we could get some more complex wave developing, so we need to be mindful of that also, so we don't sort of blindly assume we're going to have a top. But I think we are in approximate region for a potential top to develop. And the other thing is that, and I'll come to that in a moment, the other thing is that seasonally we often have major tops in dollar index around about this sort of time. If I was to just take you back so that I don't mess up with this chart, but maybe what we do, okay, so this is daily chart, I've got my analysis on, which is basically, this is the daily, and the one that we're following is a 4-hour. So let me just quickly bring up a brand new chart of dollar index. Okay, so what I was basically trying to show, this is a daily chart. Okay, so this was a significant top, so that one happened in July, but this one here happened in January. Okay, so these two suggest that January, which is almost like back end of the year, sorry, this one was May, my apology, this one here is beginning of June, and this one here is beginning of July. Okay, but see, this one is January, this high here is October, so you'll soon begin to build up a picture. So we've got September to October here, this one is January, this one is June and July, and then this high here is November, this high here is June. So you'll find approximately back end of the year and early part of the year. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Early part of the year, which means, you know, anything from January to April, and back end of the year means anything from October to December, maybe even sometime like September to December. Okay, so if you look at the low, so this, look at significant low. This low, obviously we know it happened in September. This one we know it happened in January. Then this one is February. This low here is October. This one here is April, May rather. Then this one here is November. So you see what I'm saying, that often around October, November, and sometimes later in November, like December, and then the early part of January to about March, we often have what we call significant tops and bottoms. So this one now we are approaching in April, back end of March and early April. And let me just see if I can bring this one in. This website is a seasonal data chart and it's free, so you should be able to go into that one if you don't know about it already. And basically you have quite a number of different categories of indices, commodities, index futures, so forth. Okay, so we are looking for dollar index. Where's he gone? He's hiding somewhere. Dollar index, or in dollar index. Where is it? Okay, see, looks like I've lost it. Looks like I've lost it somehow. Don't know what happened. Okay, the other one is I'll come back to that. Okay, I'll let you know. But whilst we're on here, let me just show you on the forex here for euro. Okay, so this is the seasonal chart for the euro, and what you'll see is normally in January and February are the two weaker part of the month. Then from a sort of early March to third week in March we go up. Well, this year we've been going down since the beginning of February. Okay, but then this one bottoms out. So toward the end of March we bottom out, and then after the end of March we start rising. So basically what I'm saying is that we are in a very early part of April and very late part or ending March. So in the first week in April we should really start going up. So that means if the dollar index bottoms out this week, that means toward the end of March we will be bottoming out on euro and topping out in dollar index, and then the euro will start running up and the dollar index will start coming down. Okay, so, and I'll come back to the dollar index seasonal chart, but it should show something similar. Let's get back to our other chart now. So having noticed that we are looking for a potential top to form in the dollar index in close proximity, probably by tomorrow, I think. Okay, so we were going to look at few other currency pairs, so let's start with that now. So first of all, we were going to have a quick look at pound pairs, and in a pound pairs we're only really looking at the two particular currency pairs we are trying to go along. So for example, this is the pound Canada. So pound Canada, you can see that we've gone up in a wave one, and I think we've had this one here looks like it has come down in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so maybe what we've got to wait for here is probably not ready. So what we've got is this correction, and we might get another correction down possibly for completion of this retracement to the downside. So we are not ready to go long on there, but we will keep it under watch. And you know, we've come down, so what we want now is the price partially retracing and then another leg down. So that would have RSI going up and then coming down and giving us the divergence, which I think will probably be ready for going long. So we're still waiting for correct entry level on this one, because so far if you look at this one, I think it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so we want A, B, C to the upside and then another leg down, and we might be able to re-enter at a lower level on Canada, pound Canada. Pound New Zealand is, I think, nearly ready. We could actually start building small positions in pound New Zealand, because we were expecting wave 1, A, B and C, and this C also has wave A down, wave B, and then you can see it's like a falling wedge. So I think that has now been broken to the upside. So ideally we just need now an entry level. So what I would do is I would look for maybe 1 hour chart, do a Fibonacci retracement on there, and what I'm seeing so far is possibly like a leading diagonal. Maybe too early to tell, or maybe leading diagonal like that. So once that's over, we should then expect like a partial retracement, something like that. So ideally, if we get an opportunity to enter somewhere in the region of 181, or maybe a little bit lower down, 181 to 180.8, so that would be a potential area for looking for potential long. We have on the left hand side an area where there was resistance, so could become support, and also we would have this completion as like a leading diagonal. And maybe what we will get is during the night we might get this one push up, and then possibly next week we might get a pullback, and then we'll be ready to go in around that sort of level. Okay, so I would not rush in, but I think there is a plenty of room for the upside once we get an entry in there. I mean, immediate target will be the retest of the high, so they're approximately 350 plus pips away, but really this time you can see almost like triple bottom, and they are slightly higher than each other. But as far as we are concerned, more importantly, if this one lines up, then we've got wave 1, A, B, C, and this is supposed to be wave 3, and that wave 3 will be relatively quite strong in comparison to what we had over here or even over here. Okay, so I am looking quite optimistically for this particular currency pairs to give us a good long-term swing trading opportunity. And in fact, once we break above here, then really the next target is that one there, and more appropriately over here at, you know, so it's going to be substantial move, I think, and we are in an early stage of getting into that one, and we will look to build in small position so that we enter in with a manageable risk. Once we got break even plus lock in some profit, we then add a second position, and gradually we build a position like that, so we never carry more risk than our account is able to handle, even though we'll eventually have a larger position size, and then everything is managed with a stop loss. So at most we would lose out is probably the last position. Pound Aussie is very much similar, but it has already seemed to have run out. So what we would wait for is, and again, a retracement on that one. So Pound Aussie is done wave 1, wave 2, currently in wave 3 looks like it to me. So we might find that, for example, it'll go up there, maybe small in between, it might do a small pullback, and then possibly another leg higher, and then we will get an ABC zigzag pulling back, you know. So that's where we would look to enter. So we might get an entry. If you look at this level here is 145 area approximately. So if we see ABC retracement back to that, like a 50% retracement, then potentially that's where we will be looking to get long, I think. But we might have to revise that. We need to see an ABC retracement. We'll have a go into an area where there is a lot of resistance. So around about that we should finish this one. It might even get a false break, for example, then come down. So potentially we'll be looking for entry into that one early next week. So that's all the pound. And in a similar vein, we'll look at the euro. And in euro, we're looking at euro CAD. That one is still bottoming out, and I think possibly forming an early stage entry in there. So this is on a daily chart. So like tomorrow, for example, if you drop down to slightly smaller time frame, so you see we've got wave 1 up, currently retracing. So if you were able to get long, currently retracing, it's the 1, 2, it may even be that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, minor 5 is over. You see what I mean? Is we've probably got this one as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, not right. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, 4 and 5. So maybe it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, then in this 4 is A, B and C, 4, and this being 5. So I think that is probably over. This you can see is like a bull flag. Okay, so potentially you could either enter on a break of that one, or let that one complete and drop back once it sort of comes into this area. Once it gets into that area, then wait for it to get there and then drop back into that sort of area. So ideally, you know, somewhere in the region of 130 or so, but I think at the moment it's not a bad place to get in. But I think wait for it, on balance wait for it, because if this is a leading diagonal, we might get a little push up and then we might get that. This is what I think we'll get. So we would look to enter in this area here, around 130 area, I think 130 or lower if possible. But you can see on the left hand side that we've got an area of potential resistance. We're supporting on there. We might go up and then probably come back down, and that would be the area. I think that I would be quite happy to enter around 130 area, but we are not really that far off. But if you did enter and then you start to getting pulled back, you might begin to panic. You think, oh, what's happened? So from that region, I wouldn't enter there right now. I would let this one go up, and on the next drop back, probably at 130 or even a little bit lower down. See, if you put a Fibonacci on this area, then you might get like a 50% retracement, which is lower than where the price is now. That comes in at just 130 would be, I think, in terms of a whole number, 130. So I think a lot of these we will need to keep watching now and start forming, you know, a little watch list. Okay, 130. So that's Euro CAD, Euro New Zealand. The Euro New Zealand, you can see that we had this wave A down, and if we do AB equals CD, is projecting it to this area here. And if you see RSI on this 4-hourly chart, RSI has come on the highest or the strongest momentum to the downside on RSI for this low. So what I'm looking for now is we've had a current pullback, and I'm looking for next leg down. And I think that will happen because Euro is going to come down tomorrow, I think. So, and we'll come to that in a moment. But it's going to come down tomorrow, and if it did come down tomorrow, then potentially 150, 170 or 152. And I think by that time we should be ready to look for a long entry, and we'll get a divergence from the RSI. And then if you look at it on a longer term, See, we've had this retracement, and in fact that retracement should be over here. Okay, so now you can see that we will be coming into 88% retracement, and that would be like a deep retracement, and it's in an area where we want. We also got this AB equals CD coming into the same region, so I would be also looking for potential entry. But you now do remember that there will be some markets close tomorrow, some will have half days, and then we've got a long weekend with bank holidays in many of the European countries. So take that into consideration, but it would not do us any harm if we went in with a small position with a view of eventually adding to it. So entering small position and potentially having a stop loss initially like 190, so say 200 pips stop loss initially. So you need to work your position size out so that within the 200 pip you would not lose more than say 1% maximum of your account size. However, we will not actually wait for that 1% to be hit. If it begins to keep coming down, then we may have to revise our view on this. But my current outlook is that if we get, for example, some kind of a bottoming action on the price, and we also have divergence from the RSI, then I think everything is ready. We've got Fibonacci level ready, we've got AB equals CD ready, we've also got RSI confirming on 4 hour. On the daily we might not get much, but on a 4 hour we definitely should, and I think that will be acceptable. So I would be quite happy to look for potential low tomorrow. If not, then wait until early next week when we will get an opportunity to enter in initially with initial position on. Euro Aussie is again exactly the same. It's coming right back into that almost like a double bottom, and from today's action you can see it was the engulfing bar. So potentially you might say that's like a bullish action, and so really what you need now is you need a pullback and enter somewhere halfway, or get one more leg down and enter at 122 level, and if we don't, then maybe drop down on a time frame, look for a pullback partial, and look to enter somewhere around 122.60 to 122.50 area with a stop just below that. Okay, somewhere in this region here, and we are coming, but ideally if we had another leg down, that would be brilliant. Then we will be looking to re-enter almost close to today's low or fractionally lower low. If you look at the RSI on this 4 hour, then we've been getting divergence on 4 hour. So if this leg came down and actually did a new low, then RSI would give us a brilliant indicator. So I would look out for that one, but don't use all euro pairs to go long. Pick the one that you think you like best, and then enter long on that one. Otherwise you'll have too many pairs all on a euro, which means whatever happens to euro dictates what happens to your trading account. Okay, so that's a potential long entry for Euro Aussie. Euro Yen, I will not deal a great deal on it, because potentially I think we are bottoming on that one. If you did want to go long, you can, because this is the wave 4, so we'll be going for wave 5, but then we don't know how far the wave 5 will be. So from that perspective, I would be less inclined to trade that one. I'll actually consider the other one, which have a long they're at the very early stage of where yen was. Yen here was at early stage. So Euro New Zealand, Euro CAD, and Euro Aussie are all around here with all this to come yet, whereas the yen has already shot out and is toward the end of this particular cycle. So I would look for this one as a confirmation, because if the euro really begins to gather strength, relatively speaking, you will notice that all euro currency pairs will be showing potential bottom and momentum to the upside. Okay, so let's have a quick look on the Canadian pair. So we've looked at pound Canada anyway, so we don't need to do that. And Euro CAD we've looked at. We look at Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD. So in Aussie CAD, what I gather here is that Canadian pairs are going to be stronger than Aussie and New Zealand, I think. And what I see, which I've pointed out many times before, is that this is the rising wedge. It's a much larger rising wedge on a weekly time frame. And the price have already broken out of that. Now what is it doing in this area is somewhat confusing, but my perception and my view is this, that if I look this coming down, is quite strong wave coming down. So I call that wave A in bracket. Then we had ABC as a wave B in bracket. And then we had this leg down. So I'm calling this wave A, B and C. Okay. A, B and C. In which case we've had, sorry, let me step back a little bit. So we had a strong powerful move down A. Then I think we need a retracement of that. So we had an expanded flat. So in expanded flat we got wave A, wave B and wave C, and I think we are toward the end of that. So we'll finish up with a wave A in bracket, wave B in bracket, and then next movement will be to the downside. So out of the rising wedge we've fallen out, and then if you drop down to this area here on daily, you can see that even in this area we've got wave A, wave B and wave C with a rising wedge, and that means Aussie CAD has actually completed that retracement, and you can see the strong wave to the downside. So a little bit too late to enter short now, but what we could do is wait for this to complete. So I think we've got minor 1, minor 2, 3, 4, 5 and then complete. Okay, so we're looking for this price action to do this, to do that. Okay, once it's finished, then we will expect it to do retracement. For example, it will then come up and do like this. Okay, something like that. So once we get a retracement like there, for example, then once we got away, we'll know exactly where the retracement likely to be, but possibly in this area here. So we would look to get long or short rather around 1.06 area, 1.062 or maybe even higher, 1.064, and that will be a long-term swing trade using Aussie CAD to the downside. Our minimum target is this one, but more likely all the way back to base here. So there's a lot of distance in that, 600-700 pips. If you look at it longer term, then I think although we will come here and there will be obviously some strong bounce, but longer term we'll actually break out of this, and we're looking for, you know, this is the rising wedge A, B, C. So I would not be surprised if it gets all the way back here, and that is a long distance away. And you know, if you really get into good positions on some of them, then you might be able to use basically daily chart to trade very long-term swing trades and using small positions, so you're able to manage the trade accordingly. So that's Aussie CAD, and that would suggest, by the way, if the Canadian is going to be stronger, that means Aussie is going to be weaker for quite a noticeable period of time. And then in the same way we got New Zealand CAD. So if you see, New Zealand CAD is in a very similar kind of, you know, configuration. Is that on a long term, although we don't have a price data on this particular chart, but long term you can imagine we've been coming up. So we go wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we're finishing the wedge, and then if you step down to daily chart, then you can see on this daily chart what I think we've got is we've got wave A as a rising wedge. So that's an initial or leading diagonal, A, B, C back as a B, and then we've done this complex C, which is an expanding triangle. So you go like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 done. Okay, RSI and everything confirming the divergences, and I think what we've got is really messy, but we've got a leading diagonal. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 leading diagonal. So what we now need is ABC retracement. So how we got ABC retracement? Well, I think what we have here possibly is that this is ABC possibly, then this is B. So maybe if we get this one coming back to here, then we will finish with an ABC. So we will have here, for example, this wave A, wave B, and then ABC up, or it might be A, B and C, X, A, B and C. So we might take a little bit longer. We need to observe what happens here. But this one here at the moment looks like a bull flag. So at least we should get one more leg up, and potentially that would be the leg we'll be looking to short. Okay, so again this one, once we've shorted, we're looking for significant decline on this one. So if this big wedge, if we once actually break down, come to the bottom of the wedge, get another retracement and then drop down. So longer term, I think, you know, we're looking quite strong on Canadian dollar, also against the New Zealand dollar. So New Zealand dollar will be weakening, and that means Aussie and New Zealand dollar will start downtrend against most currency pairs, including Canadian. Okay, now we noted on the other one where pound Canada is going to be going up. That means we can begin to form a view now that euro and pound are still likely to be stronger looking over next few months and maybe rest of the year, and therefore Canadian pair, New Zealand and Aussie are going to be weaker. Of the the three bunch will be weaker, so they'll be like a resource currency, so they'll be weaker, and out of them I think the New Zealand and Aussie are going to be weaker of the three. So finally we'll look at a quick look at the yen pairs, and then that will bring us to conclusion. So in the yen pairs, we've looked at euro yen, that is in a contracting triangle, which is wave 4 with a wave 5 to come. Then most of the other currency pairs are in a similar sort of situation. This is CAD yen. CAD yen has done wave, I think, has done wave 4 and is now, completing this wave 5 up. So we got wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, this very messy 4, and we're probably going to do a final move up on this one, and this will be topping out. I think will probably be the first currency group to top out maybe. Then we look at pound yen. Pound yen also has got a wave 4. Pound might weaken, might come back down here, and it will form this like a triangle just like the euro yen, and then pound yen will probably go up like that. Okay, so pound yen will go up, and we'll find that wave 4 of a larger degree retracement will then follow, like so. So you can see it will be quite a choppy for a while, and I think that is going to be the case with most of the currencies against yen. Same sort of configuration with the Swiss yen as the euro yen. Aussie yen. Aussie yen, I think, is also like the CAD yen we looked at. We're looking for final leg up. So this here is the wave 4, and we'll be final leg up, which is when the 5 wave cycle will complete. But the yen pairs, I think, really speaking, for what's available elsewhere, I would basically ignore them now, because they're basically toward the end of their current 5 wave cycle. New Zealand yen may well have topped, or it's got this little complex. You can see I think it's probably already topped or very close to topping. If you look at that and look at the Aussie yen, see, Aussie yen looks like it hasn't topped yet, unless you see this leading down looks very corrective at the moment to me. This is quite a strong wave down, but then all the rest of it is very corrective. So it could be A, that could be B, and this is probably part of C with a one leg to come. So Aussie yen probably still a bit more upside left, but New Zealand yen I think has already topped, because you can see that this was ABC down as a wave 4, and then we've gone up quite strongly. So maybe this was 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but then I'm not sure entirely what this one is. What we should expect is a strong impulsive move. So if this is not finished, then maybe what we have is wave 1, wave 2, then all of this wave 3, then we got A, B and C, and therefore we want a final leg up. So that would make sense. It would harmonize with the Aussie yen as well, that we got that final leg up to get this wave 3 completing there. Then we'll get ABC back down for wave 4. So that's yen. And the US dollar yen. The US dollar yen here is in the same state. We had a larger degree wave 4, and we're trying to finish up wave 5, and where we got -1, -2, -3 and -4 I think is finished, and we should now really start looking up for this final leg up. And what that will do is we'll complete this wave 3 in bracket on a larger cycle. So you can see that's why they're all in a very similar sort of situation compared with most of the other currencies against the yen. They're all going to be, I think the yen pairs have almost retraced what they need to do and are in a final stage of this cycle. So wave 3 will finish on majority of those pairs. Okay, so we'll go back to the US dollar pairs, couple of them. Canada. Now Canada is looking very strange to me, in a sense that from the low we had this A, B and C, and we need 5 waves in a wave C, because here we had potentially, I mean I put W, X, Y, X, Z, but it could well be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so it's a leading diagonal wave A. So A, B, C back as a wave B. So we want a wave C, so we'll go wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and I think with the expecting a dollar to strengthen tomorrow, with the yen, with the Canada, Canada might actually continue to be weak. So even though dollar might have topped, against the Canada it will probably still continue higher. So we need a 5th leg with Canada. And you can see on RSI on daily, see this is the highest reading on RSI, which is wave 3. So ABC back as a wave 4, and we're really looking for a 5th leg up, which is when Canadian pair will start strengthening against the dollar, and dollar will be in a full flight down by the time this one makes this wave 5 up. So at the moment it is possible to go long on this pair with a stop just below, still in this channel. So from that perspective it could be a useful pair if you did want to trade, but I feel I would rather let you just wait and top out and then actually look to short that one, which I think would be a better strategy. With the pound I think is looking very, very strong. After having bottomed here, we've got 5-wave move up as I've showed in the previous sessions. We've done ABC retracement back down, so now that ABC I think is done. So then we should be looking for basically a new trend to the upside. Now if we haven't got that, then what we might get, because pound appears very choppy, sometimes it sort of moves very fast in a short period, so then we will get this leg down, which is when the pound against the dollar would be a buy. You see, so in other words, we've got, after the 5-wave, we've got wave A down, ABC up, so then we should have a drop down. So look to pick pound up around 151 area. Okay, and remember we suggest that we're looking for a pound to pull back against things like Canada, New Zealand and Aussie dollar, and it may well be that this is what we are looking for. We're looking for this next leg down, which will probably happen tomorrow, and then in that case we will get a bottom here, or we might get a bottom a little bit lower down, so around 151 or maybe 150.05, you know, around this sort of level here. And if you look at it on the rising trend line, we may then be able to put a proper trend line on. At the moment it's a little bit difficult to put a trend line on, because anything you put on is probably not going to hold. You see, if you did parallel on there and put that on the low, then you're coming into an area where possibly you might find a support, but in general terms we are looking for basically bottom to form pullback and then to go long on pound dollar. Canadian dollar done. On the euro dollar, now on a euro dollar, what I'm going to show you is a chart that I prepared today. If I can get to that, this chart here. Okay, now generally this is the Italian stock index, and generally you can see it moves very well. There are times when it is slightly out of sync, in a sense that, you know, we find like, you know, the index, stock index will probably bottom first, or euro will bottom first and then the other one follows. So sometimes they switch role, sometimes one take the lead, another follow. So here, for example, we had a stock index bottom out first, then the euro bottomed out, and then they both started their uptrend. Okay, so looking at this here, because this one is a clothesline and the other one is a candlestick, it doesn't look right, but anyway, you can see basically they have a strong correlation. So the point I'm trying to make is this one here. We had both euro and Italian 35 index topped out together. Then Italian index did A, B and C, and during which time euro has come down all the way and is actually effectively in the same sort of a way. Is done like a double zigzag. Is done like A, B, C here, X, and probably another A, B and C. Okay, so it's in the process of doing that. So when you look at this one in a wave B, it's done 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so if you drop down to 4 hour, then you can see that this wave 3 is nearly complete. It's not very clear here. Maybe if you go down to 1 hour, you see wave, this one here is probably complete, because you go 1, 2, then this is 3, 4 and 5. So wave 3 finished. So what we're looking for in this one, if we've got wave A, we go wave B, so we need that one, and that would then complete this wave 4, and essentially will be then coming down for a wave 5. And then if you were to put a trend line down, you're not expecting really a very big rally here. See, something like that. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is that here we are currently looking to bounce, so we should expect a similar bounce on the euro now, ABC up, and then we'll see a decline. So if we see a decline, it will bottom out, and then the euro will bottom out. So euro here is trying to bounce, so it's done wave A, we are currently doing wave B, and once we finished, then we will do another leg up like so, which will then finish up with wave 4 on the equity index, and then a euro will finish up with its own ABC in this way, and then we should expect another leg down there, and we should expect a leg down on the Italian index also. So once we finish the 5 wave, then we will start rallying to the upside. Now looking at this and then going back to the dollar index, I think we're going to have something different with the dollar index. Dollar index might not actually top tomorrow. I think with the dollar index we'll expect a bit more play, and we might actually stretch this one for a full 5 wave, and we may well get into a region of 83.50 or maybe even 84. And so from that perspective, my feeling is that the euro will bottom next week, and the dollar will top out next week. Now it's not an absolute rule, but one of the things we also need to keep in mind is when we have a long wave 3, often wave 4 is equal to wave 1. So you can see when you put that one in there, the wave 1 comes in around 83.70 area. So around 83.70 to maybe 85 is probably where I think euro is going to dollar is going to actually top. So I don't think tomorrow it is actually going to top out based on this chart we are looking at, because we need to retrace wave 4, then we need to come down for wave 5. So if we have that understanding, then going on to the actual euro chart, which is the final chart we're going to look at now, is here what we've got potentially is a couple of things. Either this what I have marked here as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 is probably done. 5 probably done. And where is the 5 done? Well, a little bit difficult to tell, but either it's done over here or it is done over here. That means either the low of yesterday or the low of today. If we had low of yesterday, then potentially we got wave A, minor B, minor C, like an expanded flats, wave A, wave B, and we are currently in wave C. Or most likely, if we assume that we bottomed out today, then this entire wave is an A. So it's 5 wave cycle. Let me just put number 5 on, because somehow this 5 wave here, 5 wave cycle. So if that 5 wave cycle is done, then what we need to do now is ABC to the upside. So this is currently going wave A, we are retracing this wave B like so, and then once that's finished we should see another leg up. And in that leg up, what we're going to find is, see this horizontally is where we have a lot of resistance, like support all the way here, resistance. We may probably run into that. Okay, so if we do run into that, then this is on a 4-hourly chart, so it's going to take a little while to do that. And then we need, after this we need another leg down. So you can imagine that what's going to happen is that during the night we might drop down here, tomorrow we might do a run up, and then next week we might actually continue dropping all the way down. That's quite feasible, I think. And that would allow the Italian equity index we just compared for correlation also to finish its 5 wave move to the downside of part of a wave C, and then that one will be ready to go up, and then this one will be ready to go up. So this is not completely finished yet, I think. And just to look at it longer term, we're still in that declining trend channel. So the first one was the steeper one, this red one, but this pink one is the main one. So unless we break above that, below that we are still negative. And then if you look at an overall chart, then on a daily we have 61.8% retracement that comes in the level of around 126.80, and I still think that we're going to go and hit that. And I think that is quite possible if we get this next leg down, having ascertained that in conjunction with the Italian equity index. So that's where we will leave it today. Tomorrow we will go over most of the US dollar pairs, but also to focus on a couple of those pairs we are looking for a long entry. So I hope that this has been useful to you. I will post this out fairly soon, as soon as I've finished, and then look forward to you joining me tomorrow. And any question or comments, I'll be more than happy to entertain them in my next session. But in the meantime, thank you for joining me. And if there are any immediate questions, I will have a look. But if not, then I think we can incorporate them tomorrow. Okay, so in that case I will end the recording here, and look forward to our tomorrow's session, and hopefully we will have something in that particular dollar index seasonal chart I was looking at. I'll find that as well, so then you might be able to use that for your reference in the future too. Okay, thank you.